For more than a decade, the Smosh brand may be the only thing consistent on this entire website since they've been around for almost as long as the existence of YouTube. But if you're like me and haven't watched their channel in quite a few years and go back to watch one of their videos now, you'll realize that a lot of it has changed. There's many unfamiliar faces and a lot of the shows I don't recognize. So I wanted to ask the question, what happened? Well, the history of what many consider the first YouTube brand is actually a very long one because of how entrepreneurial the two owners are. And that is why I'm going to try my best to give a brief overview in this video. The Smosh name actually predates YouTube quite a few years when Anthony created a website for him and his friends to hang out on. Later on, Ian joined up with him. From there, they kept on making content for that website until this new platform called YouTube started, and they were one of the first people to sign up and start making videos. Their original videos were them lip-syncing popular songs in entertaining ways, which was a popular genre of content at the time on the internet. While it doesn't seem like anything great now, it was badly needed content on the new YouTube platform. I honestly never thought lip-syncing songs would be popular again online, but with the Musical.ly app, it actually came back in style a decade later, so go figure. From there, they started to expand into making actual comedic sketches where they'd get their friends together to do short skit videos. This was in a time before monetization, so they were making this all up as they went along. And they continued to grow their brand year after year, even though they weren't sure where this industry was going. These comedy sketches were the channel's bread and butter, and they were able to grow to millions of subscribers because of them. Then in 2011, they sold their brand to Alloy Digital, which is now known as Defy. I was never actually able to find an exact reason why they decided to sell out, but I assume that they were offered a decent chunk of money and they promised them opportunities in growing their brand to the next level since they stuck around. Unlike most other relationships of this kind, where the corporate people and the creative people clashed and then everything fell apart, in this case, Ian and Anthony actually seemed to get along very well with Defy Media. But let's be honest here, they didn't simply buy out Ian and Anthony for their comedy sketches. No, they were going to use Smosh as a brand and expand it into multiple different channels. So now I'm going to go over all the main Smosh accounts throughout the years. First, we have the original spin-off channel Smosh Pit, which is over a decade old at this point. It started off its life as a vlogging channel where Ian and Anthony would give you a behind-the-scenes look at being a YouTuber in the early days, including checking out their MySpace page and packaging and shipping out shirts themselves.
Hey Anthony, what's up?
Hey, I'm just on MySpace trying to talk to people, but I can't.
Oh, why is that, Anthony?
Well, because there's a whole bunch of comments that are really cool and mess up our page, like this one.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Yep.
And all of these.
Yep. And why is that a problem, Anthony?
Well, it stretches out our page, and no one wants to leave a comment when they see that crap.
As time went on and the Smosh brand grew and new people started to be included in their sketches, the Smosh Pit channel changed with it. So now most of the shows on the account are them just sitting in front of a couch talking to the camera, which works pretty well considering how many views the channel gets. Is this channel making a crazy amount of money? Well, no, but it is a good way for them to interact with their fans on a day-to-day basis. Next up, there's a channel that I've been wanting an excuse to talk about for years, which is Charlie the Guinea Pig. Back in the day, he was one of my favorite characters on this entire website, with him having quite a few popular videos on the main Smosh account.
So, Charlie, what part of England are you from?
Shut up!
I was just...
Shut up! You got any whiskey around here?
Why would we have any whiskey?
If you're a normal f***ing person, that's
Are
why.
you drunk?
I'm a bit sozzled, yeah. Well, catch you two little poops later. I gotta give me some friggin' booze. Come on here, help me down. My legs are a bit stubby.
Looking back now, I guess I never really did appreciate how popular it became to composite human mouths onto animals and inanimate objects. With things like the Annoying Orange or Charlie the Guinea Pig, it was actually a very cheap and simple solution to have a human mouth on the object because it was a lot cheaper than having to animate it from scratch. So in that regards, it was actually a really good idea because people were impressed by it, it worked, these videos got a lot of views, and it was just simple altogether. Anyway, getting back to the channel in question, the show asked Charlie started up after the original Guinea Pig videos on the original Smosh channel performed very well. While the channel went strong for a year with me watching every single upload, at the end of 2011 they decided to shut it down, and looking into it for this video, I realized that Charlie actually died in 2015, so I'm a little sad now. Anyway, moving on to the next account, we have Smosh Games, which started up during the boom of video game content on YouTube in 2012. Before this time, it was very hard to make money off playing video games on YouTube. No one really wanted to partner gaming channels, and on top of that, there was not as much of a demand. But during this time period, because of a change in the algorithm, these accounts started making a lot of money, including the likes of PewDiePie and Tobuscus Games. This Smosh Games account was a huge hit from the very first day it came out. I remember that they put up some videos on the secondary account, and then they directed everybody on the original Smosh account to check it out, and they very quickly made it up to 5 million subscribers.
These are tanks? How can you see that?
I have superhuman vision.
This does not look like a tank. Oh, I thought you meant like a military tank.
No, I meant the kind
I thought it was gonna turn into Modern Warfare 3 up here.
What
You failed us! You walked right into him!
The fact that they were able to get a ton of clicks back in the early days with Slenderman Let's Plays is not very impressive to me. A ton of people did that. But the thing that is more commendable is, unlike a lot of other Let's Play channels from this time period, they still were able to stick around throughout the years, with them to this very day getting 36 million views a month, which is not too shabby. I think the biggest draw on the channel nowadays is Honest Games, which is a spin-off of Honest Trailers. You see, Smosh was bought out by Defy Media, who also owns Screen Junkies, who owns the very successful show Honest Trailers, so it made a lot of sense for them to make the spin-off series for this account. Yeah, overall it's very commendable that they were able to keep this channel running throughout the years, even though Let's Plays have declined on YouTube significantly since its launch. The other channel I was really looking forward to talking about today was Shut Up Cartoons, which, as the title implies, was a cartoon and animated channel. This project came about during the YouTube Original Channel Initiative, which was a complete failure of a program where they basically just blew $100 million on a bunch of useless channels. I plan on making a full video about this initiative sometime in the near future, but to give a brief summary, what happened was Google wanted some more high-end and varied content on the website, so they just started writing million-dollar checks to people who had no clue how to make a YouTube channel and expected them to succeed. Almost all of them were failures, but the one that actually did all right was Shut Up Cartoons, because Smosh actually had experience on this platform. I still stand by the idea that this channel's concept was pretty good. The problem with most animated channels on YouTube currently is because it takes so long to make videos, there's huge gaps in between uploads. But what Smosh decided to do was hire a ton of people so there would be scheduled uploads for every day of the week with different cartoons. So it was a hub for animated content. The channel started out with 3 shows during its premiere week. The first was Do's and Don'ts, which had kids put in very dark and adult situations. Next you had Zombies vs. Ninjas, which was a more over-the-top silly stop-motion show.
Now return to Killing Off the Kardashians.
And then finally you had Pubertina, which showed the life of a girl going through puberty. And for some reason during the intro she had period blood-soaked pants on because feminism maybe?
Puberty is killing me. It's making it hard for people to look at me. Pubertina. Where's this blood coming from?
Even though things started off strong with each upload getting 1 million views a pop, as time went on things became less and less ideal. You started getting 2 classes of shows, ones that got 1 million views an episode, and then other ones that struggled even getting 100,000. They finally ended the channel in 2017 with Smosh Babies. After that, there has been no more uploads. It was a decent try for an experiment, and I commend them for trying to make animated content work on YouTube, but at the end of the day, it's just not a good platform for it. Quite possibly the biggest event to happen in Smosh history went down in 2017 though, when the creator of the website and YouTube channel, Anthony, left the show forever.
I'm leaving Smosh.
Or I guess as of today, I've left Smosh. And I had to come to terms with the fact that Smosh, being part of a company, has put all of my creative decisions through a filter of what's appropriate for the Smosh brand as deemed by the company. I need to feel that happiness again. I need to be doing what makes me happiest to wake up each morning. Right now, that's for me to do things on my own again with complete creative freedom, to be able to make whatever I want, whenever I want.
While a lot of people were mad at the news that Anthony didn't have full artistic freedom over at Smosh, which was the company he created, in my opinion it was very understandable. When you have an operation that has dozens of people relying on you, you can't go and do random stuff, or you'll have a Logan Paul sort of situation where everything will just tumble down with one screw up. Even though Anthony left the show on what appears to be the best of terms, that does not mean nothing of value was lost. He was half of the original duo that made Smosh, Smosh. It'll be funny to see if Smosh turns into an SNL-style operation where cast members leave and new ones are put in, with the show continuing on, decades and decades. So after a decade and a half with so many change-ups and side projects, how is the core Smosh channel doing? Well, actually pretty well. Even after all this time, each one of their uploads still receive around 1 million views apiece. And I know a lot of you are going to point out and say that that's only 5% of their subscriber total, but I'd like to see you manage to keep any percentage of your subscribers engaged after 13 years. The one thing I do question is just how profitable these main series videos are. Each one involves writers to come up with the jokes, locations to perform them, costumes, the actors, editors, and after all that stuff's accounted for, how much money is left to be made. I recall listening to a podcast where Ian mentions that each one of these episodes costs so much to make that sometimes they don't recoup their money from just the views and advertising, but rather they rely on their merchandise sales. The point I'm trying to make is just because they have 20 million subscribers and get 1 million views a video does not necessarily mean that the channel's a cash cow even after all these years. As for my opinion on the content they're making, it's not for me. I could tell that they put a lot of work into their videos, but they are clearly going after a younger audience, which I am not. I could claim that they were better back when I was 15 years old, but looking back now, that just isn't true. I just grew out of the brand. I will admit though that from time to time they did have a very clever idea for a concept, including the real-life Pokemon series.
Let's battle!
The fact is, even if you hate Smosh, that does not mean you should be wishing for their death. The fact that they've been able to make content on YouTube for almost 15 years and stay consistent is a miracle. And the idea that you could go back to any time period, it's almost as if it's a little time capsule of how YouTube was like at that point in history. So to answer the question, what happened to Smosh? They've been able to stay relevant on YouTube since 2005. That's what happened. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. It's really appreciated, and I just want to apologize for the lack of uploads. I've been really sick. I got sick yet again this year. I had pneumonia, and then I got sick again, and now I just completely lost my voice. And even today while shooting this video, I had to take a break halfway through because I got so congested. But hopefully I'll be feeling better and I'll get back to normal uploads. But anyway, back to the question of the day. Somebody wants to know how I feel about Logan Paul's apology video. And I think that he paid a lot of money to a PR firm and they crafted the perfect response video and it did the job it was supposed to. As for most of the people that are still going off claiming that Logan Paul should be banned off YouTube and how his video was so offensive and the worst thing ever on the internet, I just want to ask you the question of, did you hate Logan Paul before this incident occurred? Because I have the feeling that all these people that are flipping out acting like a YouTuber hasn't done something so outrageous like this in the past are just being blinded by their hatred of Logan Paul before this incident even went down. Does that mean I feel Logan Paul did nothing wrong? Absolutely not. His video was really messed up and I don't know what he was thinking when he was making it. But on the other hand, I think a lot of people were just sitting there waiting for Logan Paul to mess up on something for them to attack him. I really want to ask the question. I understand that the Suicide Forest video was messed up, and I get that. But then people started going after him for all the other Japanese footage where he was disrespecting the culture. Now, I assume a lot of you that are flipping out that Logan Paul was disrespecting the Japanese culture are Filthy Frank fans. Well, if you go to Filthy Frank's history, you could find videos where he does very similar stuff in Japan as the pink eye character.
I choose you! No, no, no! Okay, get him. Honey, get him. I'll catch you. I choose you! Japanese police. Thanks.
I gotta admit, I was one of these people that was caught in this hypocrisy. But when somebody brought it up to me on Twitter, I really started thinking about it. Then I realized that a lot of people give Filthy Frank a free pass on what he does, but then when Logan Paul does similar things, because they hate him, they go after him even harder and say he should be banned off the internet. I guess the point I'm trying to make is evaluate each thing on YouTube as its very own occurrence. Ignore any bias you already have for that YouTuber, just analyze each situation as if you have no other biases towards that YouTuber. And I think if people did that, they'd realize that what Logan Paul did was not the worst thing to ever happen on YouTube. Because I've been on YouTube for quite some time and I've seen YouTubers do some really messed up stuff. I see a lot of people claiming that Logan Paul is the worst person in YouTube history. There are some YouTubers that went to jail for pedophilia, and you're going and claiming Logan Paul's the worst person ever? I think a lot of people have to self-reflect on this entire incident, and I'll end the video right there. So until next time, thanks for watching.
L'amor,